Hey guys, welcome back to episode 2 of Phantom Forces Gun Breakdowns, where I give you a full-blown analysis of every weapon in the game from rank 0 and onward. I'm sure you guys have already seen it, but in today's episode we're going to be talking about the rank 0 PDW, the MP5K. First of all, I want to acknowledge how crazy you guys went on the first episode. Like, I can't believe this did pretty well, at least to my standards, which are pretty low. But thank you guys anyway for that. Clearly you guys want me to continue this series. If you guys didn't see the first episode, I recommend you go do that, and I'll put it in the top right corner because it gives a basic foundation of the layout of what these videos are about. I'll put it simply real fast. Basically, I start with some fun facts on the weapon, then talk about stats, recoil, attachment strategy, and my personal opinion. So yeah, pretty straightforward, but I'd say we get started, shall we? Starting with some fun facts, the MP5K is a German PDW, or personal defense weapon, that was made in 1976. Is basically a cut down compact version of the MP5. MP5K actually stands for, and I hope I pronounce this right, Maschinenpistole 5 Kurz
Maschinenpistole 5 Kurz
in German, and Kurz meaning short. And my personal favorite fact is basically this weapon is part of a briefcase gun. So HK, which is the manufacturer, basically made a briefcase that acts as a hidden weapon, and the gun sits in the briefcase, and you're able to fire it with the trigger on top in the briefcase handle. And I just think that's freaking awesome. Like, you know, firearms can just come in any shape and size imaginable. So I think that's great. If you guys know anything else cool about this weapon, you're welcome to tell me in the comments below. Anyway, let's get to the endgame stats. So the MP5K is another one out of the 5 primaries that are unlocked at rank 0. It does 34 damage up to only 20 studs, and down to 17 damage up to 100 studs, which makes this a 3 to a 6 shot kill. So the max damage ranges here are very short. 20 studs is not very much. So to utilize that 3 shot kill, you have to be pretty close to the enemy or be hitting headshots at longer ranges. The damage drop off though is not that steep, so keep that in mind. There are also no special head or torso multis on this weapon. The MP5K though does have a very good fire rate at 900 RPM, which is pretty close behind other PDWs like the MP7 or the P90. Magazine size average at 30 rounds. No big surprise here. Now moving on to the advanced stats, the muzzle velocity is actually pretty bad at only 1200, which this was changed in almost all the PDWs in the rework update back in the spring. But before it was something like 2000 or 1500, I don't remember. Penetration is 0.5, which for a PDW is pretty average. You'll see that on most other PDWs. Talking about the handling, the reload is quite fast at 2 seconds for a tactical reload and 2.7 seconds on an empty reload. ADS speed and walk speed are also extremely fast. To be frank, the MP5K I think actually has some of the best handling out of all the PDWs, which would make sense because this is one of the first weapons new players will pick up, so it'd be easiest to use for them. Okay, time to break down the recoil of this weapon, and firstly I'll show you what it looks like with no attachments. And as you can see, the recoil is very controllable. It rises kinda high after the first few shots, but then stays leveled out for the most part. It has mostly vertical recoil and very little to almost no horizontal recoil. That being said, there's hardly any kick to it. In fact, it's so easy to control that you don't even really need a full setup on this thing, which makes it very friendly to new players. But if you still do want some recommended attachments, I can help you with that. I like to use the iron sights actually. I think they're really clean and easy to see out of, but you can use whatever optic you want. I also suggest long barrel, which is great for extending damage ranges and increasing muzzle velocity. if you don't mind the ever so slightly slower handling. Stubby grip, and either any laser or the MP5K stock. Both of those options reduce recoil, and the stock hardly has any effect on the handling, which is great. And lastly, plus P ammo, which gives a small little benefit to damage ranges, muzzle velocity, and pen, but the default ammo works just as good. I know the weapon menu recoil here doesn't look as good, but in game, as long as you pull down, it's not that bad. You can also reduce recoil a bit by using the alt aim by pressing T, which removes ADSing and sets you up in a hip fire mode instead. If you do want to do this, then I recommend using a laser to make it easier to aim. Now, as far as conversions go, there is one, which is the 10mm auto conversion, which renames the weapon to the MP5K 10. What this conversion does is increase your overall damage, 44 max damage and 21 min damage, which now makes the weapon a 3 to a 5 shot kill. It also gives more pen at the cost of worse muzzle velocity and worse recoil, mostly horizontal recoil though. Honestly though, as you can see, the recoil is still not that bad. On the weapon menu recoil though, it looks kind of crazy, but honestly just pull down and it's not that bad. My build is more centered around having more muzzle velocity because I personally like that, but I would definitely recommend you check this conversion out. Having a 3 to a 5 shot kill is really good, and if you don't mind the slightly worse recoil and slightly worse muzzle velocity, you're going to be absolutely destroying people with this, so yeah, use it. As far as how you should use the MP5K, you pretty much just want to play like a typical flanker or rusher and get in people's faces to kill them as quickly as possible. Especially that you are benefited with fast walk speed and handling, so take advantage of that. Because of its 900 RPM fire rate, you could easily outgun most assault rifles, LMGs, or to an extent other PDWs. But be prepared to go up against that one oddball who will get pretty much consistent one-shots with a sniper or shotgun. But that being said, I would say you are able to comfortably use this weapon out to medium range, but anything beyond that is much more difficult to use because of that weapon's low muzzle velocity and terrible min damage. Be careful if you're playing on maps with lots of cover like Warehouse or Metro, because this weapon isn't very good at wall banging, and people with LMGs or snipers could easily destroy you behind walls if you're not prepared. And one more thing, if you're fighting multiple people, just be wary of your ammo, because even though the reload is fast, those 30 rounds can get dumped out pretty fast, so it's okay to run, reset the fight, and then go back in and try again. But overall, using the MP5K is pretty straightforward. Just run around, get up close, and yeah, just be good at the game. But finally, as for my overall opinions, I think the MP5K is a great weapon, and once again, it does a good job being a beginner-friendly option that anyone can pick up, and a good option for any close quarters map. The unique attachments plus the 10mm auto conversion do make this a very punchy, just all damage type weapon, and that can be really fun to use sometimes. But compared to other PDWs, its min damage is just really low, and some other PDWs can at least 5 shot out till at long range. And also its muzzle velocity by default is not great, but that goes for a lot of other PDWs ever since that spring update. This weapon the most exciting, mostly because there are like 150 something guns in this damn game, but it is by no means average or mediocre. So out of 10, I think I would give the MP5K a 9 out of 10. And would I recommend using it? Absolutely. This actually could arguably be called the best rank 0 gun. I personally think there's one rank 0 weapon that is better than this. Maybe we could talk about it in the next video. We'll see. Well, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you can guess the next rank 0 weapon you guys want to see next down in the comments. If you're new here, you can like the video or sub to the channel. That would be awesome. Next upload might be my next Flowscape map release. We'll see. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Take care.